friends, it's the launch of what? What are we going to call this, Chris? The cut? What do we want to call this show? We got to call it something. Cutting in?
Cutting into comics, cutting into something like that. I don't know, man. We'll have to think about it, I guess. Maybe somebody can think of a great name for us.
We're tasking you with filling out a great name here for us. Anyways.
Two neat guys
talking a bunch of shit. Yeah. So you've got some good gear there. You're all rocking. I'm in the echoey chamber at the brand new Brenton On Tour offices. Nice. But we still got the wall.
You do. You got the wall. You see some spray paint on the wall. Give the kids a couple cans of spray paint. And
let them go. What's going on over there? What are you doing?
What am I doing? Oh, well, it's a beautiful day here in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I'm just looking out my office window. There's lots of fall colors, which is really nice and bright. It's awesome here. I finished up watching The Boys, which was great. I have a new video coming out that I'm going to after this, or I don't know. This is live, right? No, this is videotaped.
We're gonna go live. This is videotaped. We're VHSing it now.
Yes, we're VHSing it right now. So I have a new video coming out that discusses a bit of cool comic stuff that I went down to my favorite comic book store in Kingston. So that's coming up. I did that. Then I got my almost done the third issue of Escalator, a comic book that I'm releasing January 1st, which I'm very stoked about, and the store. Again, after this video, I'm going to work a bit on the store that should be up end of October, mid-October, with lots of cool stuff from Machete Comics.
You guys got to check out what's going on with Chris's Insta and stuff, because it's there's some great drawings and stuff on there. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Instagram is Mr. Machete, I believe, right? Mr. Machete.
Sure.
Instagram, and then Machete Comics on Facebook.
In post, we can put all that shit up there. Yeah.
Of course. Right. Yeah.
So you mentioned The Boys. I'm a huge fan of this series. You introduced me to it a few years ago when you were like, hey man, you got to check out this series. You got to, it was in graphic novel form at that point. Bought a few. I bought the first, they put the first, I think 10 issues into a major, like one book. And so it kind of dove into it that way, which is pretty cool. But then Amazon, of course, came out with this series and everyone was like, what the hell is this thing? Mm-hmm. Season 1, we didn't do any recap on season 1, but I think it's really rad with the end of season 2 just happening. Mm-hmm. Getting your take on it, us talking about it, because a lot of people are talking about it, man. And it's a killer show.
The thing about The Boys is it's very relatable. A perfect opposing story is Star Wars. Like, whoa, anything could happen out in space, and that's great. Not overly relatable to some viewers. I know that The Boys has brought in a lot of new viewers just because of the reality of the situation. If you think about there's like Trump aspects in there. There is Scientology aspects in there. There's huge racism aspects in there with the Nazis, right? And the girl power element in there is just, I don't know if I've seen female heroes done as gritty and as cool as I have seen in The Boys. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like Wonder Woman, and the Black Widow, is a really great, strong female character. They all follow a certain line though, right? Where the female, all the characters, but especially the female characters, because you don't expect it as much in today's society. The female characters really jump into the what the fuck area, right? And that's the moments of that are huge. And to have so many female characters bring out the what the fuck moments, I thought was really, really awesome. The ending scene, just for one example, the ending scene where they were the three female heroes were just beating the living crap out of a Nazi from the Nazi days who was around Hitler. These supers can last forever, right? Because they have a serum, kind of like Wolverine if you're into comic books.
Yeah.
So the three female heroes just beat the crap out of
Storm.
Yeah, so it was Stormfront, right?
Stormfront, yeah.
And just beat the crap out of her. And you're sitting there going, yeah, get the crap out of that Nazi. Like I was anyway. I was just like, go beat the crap out of her. And even another thing, like this, we could just keep talking about what's good about The Boys, is the reality of it. So spinning off of the girl power thing, the song that they put behind there, did you recognize the song?
I think so. I'd have to watch it again. I mean, I just watched it, but off the top of my head, no.
Do you remember the artist Peaches?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of her like girl anthems, and it was so punk rock. It was just like, it was perfect. So again, another thing that works with The Boys is there's not a ton of music in there, But when it's in there, it's perfect. They played God Only Knows by the Beach Boys at the very end.
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, and everybody's separating, right? And it was really well put. And then in an
Billy
earlier,
the Billy Joel stuff is great. The addiction to Billy Joel.
It's right. And we're 80s kids, some of us, right?
Yeah,
so like a lot of the comic book fans nowadays are 80s kids, and that rings really true. But the other cool thing, I don't know if you remember where she just Starlight, because we're talking about Huey,
yeah,
one of the wimpier characters in the story, and Starlight, one of the Soups, one of the heroes, and they end up hooking up. And one of my favorite scenes, and it's hard to do romance in superhero stories. Ask George Lucas. He doesn't know how to shoot a romance.
What are you talking about? You didn't like the scene with Anakin and Padme rolling around in the field?
Yeah, that's pretty bad, right? That's like perfect example, right? So the linkage between the two of them I thought was brilliant. And the thing that I can relate to, and probably you can too, is when she started singing that Billy Joel song, and he was just like, wow. And I've seen that in another movie called Adventureland, where a girl puts in a song and it's in a car, and the guy's just kind of like, whoa, really? You like this song too? And I find that myself, like when Lonnie really got into Matthew Sweet. People listen to Matthew Sweet, so you have that kind of Weezer's Pinkerton album. When nobody liked that was when when Pinkerton first came out, and nobody liked it, but my wife did, right? And I did. So that's a cool bonding thing there. So I thought that was really awesome, the way they put the romance between the two of them. But again, I
loved the arcs that they built on this thing, and even like Maeve, and then getting jealous, and then just, her and Homelander being a kind of a thing, but not really, like, and then him just being possessive, and then she's basically like, fuck this. But then at the end, spoiler alert, friends, but then at the end, they're all standing on the podium together, and they're all like, hey, we're a team. And it was just how they built it out, and how the arcs of them all is just, it was some really killer writing. And to me, it's been desperately missing in so many things. You're a Walking Dead fan. Do you find, I find that the difference between these two is that obviously Amazon, you have a little bit more rope to throw in some swear words and nudity and silliness and whatever.
The fuck moments, man.
Yeah, and on AMC,
than The Walking Dead,
right? But on AMC, you still have kids tuning in on a Sunday through the TV, right? So they call it cable, but it's still, you still have to build your story and have it hit and go out, and no one's swearing when they're running away from zombies. So it was just tough for me to be like, come on, why is The Walking Dead to me should have been on Netflix or Amazon, and
nobody wanted it at the time.
I know, but it's just, it should have been there, because just think about what they could have done. So anyways, coming back to the boys, it's that one level up of like, oh, they're doing exactly what I want them to do.
Right.
It's a reality, but not really. They're superheroes, but not really. Like, they're superheroes because they were made to be superheroes, but they're not. No one's from some weird planet. It's kind of like they're all built to this way. And so then you have that human element of people hating them, where you're not supposed to hate them. You don't see anybody hating the Avengers other than the bad guys.
Right.
But in this
the government, and the government, right?
And the government, but it's like in this, it's like they've been created. So just but to have the arcs of the love stories, but also like the individual stories in that, I just think this show is built for this. It's built for that HBO, Amazon, Netflix model, where they can basically take it anywhere they want to, and that's what you want. To me, that's what I watch. I have a really hard time watching regular TV now, because I just don't believe someone's not going to swear when they're running away from a zombie. Like,
right. Yeah, The Walking Dead it's a slow build, right? And I guess that's how it's a slow progression of the world. And it works, but then it doesn't work, because, man, you'll watch, and I discussed this with Adam in my video when I went down to the comic store, is that you watch some episodes of Walking Dead and you feel like you wasted an hour, where you watch an episode of The Boys and you're like, whoa, I gotta watch that again. It's more relatable. It moves way quicker. Like, it moves for a guy like me. Like, I like things happening. But as you mentioned about the character structure, this is one thing as a storyteller, as a writer, that really blew my mind, is how they have all these stories going on. They didn't lose pace with the main story. And everything really seemed to work. As I mentioned, you have basically Scientology in there, right? You have your cult, you have your Scientology in there. You have the Nazis are in there. And all this stuff is happening. You have a romance going on between a super and somebody who's fighting the supers. You've got a girl in there that won't talk. She works with sign language, and she had her brother die in front of her face.
Yeah.
You've got the government still trying to control the supes. You've got the main character, I think the main character, Homelander, is because everybody's watching to see which way he's going to fall. So you're working with his mind, and this guy does not know how. As you were saying, they're created. So there's nobody's Uncle Ben died, right? Nobody's like, oh, big responsibility here. No. Like Homelander, he was created and built in a test tube. He had no love growing up or anything like that. Everybody was afraid of him. So he wants everybody to love him. So you've got that huge story. And then you've got this lady power thing building, girl power thing building, and then you've got your comedy element with like the Deep. At first, he's
constantly getting
really
kicked
comedy.
in the balls. Constantly getting kicked in the balls.
Right?
If he had balls, it doesn't sound like he's got balls.
Well, I loved his little skit he did at first. Excuse me for for the Scientology group. I'm just blanking on the name of them right now. But for the Scientology group he's with, and I love
the Church of the Collective. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, I believe so. So
Yeah.
And the little skit he makes, this guy's hitting on a girl in the wrong way. He's like, he's coming out going, hey, so we're working a new world today. We're blah, blah, blah. Hey, buddy, not cool. Keeps walking on, little boys, fighting. He goes, hey, guys, let's keep it real. Don't fight. And so there's like he's like in the bar, right? And hey, cut me out of the picture. I'm supposed to be in that picture. And he's drinking all these girl drinks, right? Not like kids.
I know what you're saying.
Right?
It's just it's
all these fancy drinks that you usually wouldn't see a guy drinking. And it's just, so you got the comedy element. And then you got little Homelander. Like it amazed me how they did all these stories, didn't step on another story. They all worked together. It really blew my mind how they did that. So anybody who's writing stories, who likes Kubrick and stuff like that, and really wants to get into a really well-written story, you need to watch this.
And you can speak to this a little bit more, because I'm sure you're further into the story than I am. Yeah. But like I've gotten to that point of like watching or reading, but from what I'm researching and to this thing, like this could have been an uproar. They could have been an uproar because, we're going to go some spoilers here, but Black Noir is supposed to be a clone of Homelander.
I didn't even bring him up, right? Like I didn't even bring him up. Like keep going. Sorry.
Right. So Black Noir is supposed to be a clone of Homelander, but then it gets through the thing and it turns out that they pivoted off that storyline, but they made the little kid the clone. So they kind of added. So you as a fan of story, where I know everyone couldn't wait to either rip on Avengers or why did they do that? Or why did they do that? Or whatever. Right. I think that they got it right. You weighed in on this, but are you happy with where they took it? And we kind of have to explain this to people that have never seen the show before without spoiling it, but also, where it may go. So right now, Black Noir was supposed to be he's a clone of Homelander. He may end up being the clone down the road, but right now he's Black man and Homelander's is a white man. So that can't be necessarily pulled off per se, but Ryan, the little kid is now, got Homelander's powers. Stormfront's got like a whole backstory. And apparently Homelander originally is a clone of her.
Yeah. And she'll be back, by the way. She's
right. I'm sure. So so where are you? Let's start with your take on it. As far as, are you happy with where they took it?
Yeah, I thought the TV show was better. I found it easy to watch. Everything flowed really well. With today's society, they've changed some of the characters' genders and things like that. And that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you'll read, like Marvel does a lot of things like that. And sometimes you're like, wow, do we really need like 5 female Spider-Mans or 5 female Spider-Women or whatever? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do we really need to make Iron Man a girl? Like, do we have to change all this up? It seems very forced, and it's a big company. Marvel is, right? It's a big company. So the changes that they made in here seemed very natural. As I mentioned, it was easy to watch. Mm-hmm. Some of the changes that I saw in The Walking Dead were hard to watch. It's funny, man. reading Negan in my head for so long and then seeing him on screen, I thought, was it Jeffrey Dean Morgan that played him? What's his name?
James, isn't?
Jeffrey
Oh
Dean,
yeah, yeah. I'm blanking on the names. Yeah,
the guy who plays Negan. He looked it. He did some moves that were like him. I didn't think he talked like him. It just in my head from watching that. So from going from The Boys though the other route, it was like, that's well done. I thought that was great. Now, instead of like comparing the two, let me just tell you what could be coming. Because the very last scene is Homelander, busting a nut on the city, right?
Love it.
That was supposed to be in the first episode. That was supposed to be the end of the first season.
Right.
But they said, oh, you can't throw that in there. Well, they saw how popular it was. And they thought, no, you know what? Let's end it with what we thought was the thing that was way over the top that we couldn't do. You have to watch the show to see the what the fuck moments. I actually should do a what the fuck moment count on each show because it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So, but check this. So there's a superhero orgy coming up. Yeah, there's a scene between
perfect for Amazon.
Yeah, there's and they're going to go into this, but they're not going to go as deep apparently. But they're going to go in. There's this island that all the soups go to cut loose. You know how you and your friends go somewhere to cut loose? Maybe not you, Brent, because we're a little old for this. But when you're younger, you know what I mean. And you're spring break and whatever. Well, the soups have a spring break, and man, there's one scene that I'm gonna, if you do read the comic, that apparently is not going to be in there. Homelander hooks up with the new Patriot, and apparently they have a scene, and it's quite the scene. But that's not going to happen. But they're gonna get pretty raunchy apparently from it. I
also heard they're gonna tell a bit of an origin story because there's a 7 before the 7.
Right.
And,
yeah.
Right.
Well,
and
they have to, right? Because
they're bringing in they're bringing in the kid from Supernatural to be Patriot, right? So
Patriot, or whatever they're calling him in this.
So they're gonna go tell a bit of a story. Do you think that we're gonna see less of the Butcher and his group next season? I feel like that's where they're going to go with it, because it's almost like, I don't want to say they've closed the Homelander Butcher story, because you talk on that about where it's going to go. But what I'm saying is, I felt coming out of that if they took a whole season off from the Butcher and his group and focused on the origin of the 7, et cetera,
right, that
I would be fine, because I'm like, they kind of wrapped up. He was pissed at Homelander, but now he's taken his son and he's like, fuck you, I win this time. But then Homelander really at the end, he never really cared. All he wanted is to just be the star, which is him, So then cutting back to your thing about him jerking off on the building over the city, it's almost like he's like, well, I don't care about my kid anyways, and the girls have let me off the hook, so I'm just going to be a superhero that no one knows what a douche I am. And I feel like that there's going to be, like, I'm fine if we just take a break from the Butcher and his crew for a while, even though I really dug him. I think that they could probably, take a whole season off, but I doubt they will.
Well, you got to look at where it left off. You got Huey, who's in with the head exploder, which we didn't even talk about that. Now, funny, if you watch back on that episode, she has to look at people for their head to explode. Yeah. Now, that character, for example, was a male in the comic book.
Right.
And a little differently, the way they put her. So if you watch in the court scene, she looks at people and acts scared. She's popping their head. She's over this person. Yeah.
I think people will notice it when they go back now.
You will, right? You will. But the clues that she was the actual one popping the heads, if you really pay attention, they're in there. You know what I mean? They're in there. So what were we talking about there? About which part?
Just whether we're going to see the Butcher's team back.
Okay. So you see Huey joined up with the head popper girl. So, and she works for Voight. So Huey's going to be in there for sure, but not with the boys. Like you're saying, he'll be in a different angle. You got Frenchie with the Asian girl who cracks heads and stuff. Kimiko? Something like that. I'm blanking on names because I'm working on all other stuff with other names. So she's obviously going to be involved in the storyline somehow. So that'll bring Frenchie back in. Bill, Carl, by the way, Carl is one of my favorite actors.
All my British friends are like, what a terrible English accent.
Dude, nah. I don't know.
I love him in it. I'm just saying it was really fun. They're like, really? And
they would know more than I would.
Yeah, they're like, right? He's fucking everything up.
I just thought, dude, well, he was amazing, Judge Dredd too. He's just one of my favorite actors in general. Him and Samuel Jackson, I think I would love to see the two of them in a movie. That'd be amazing. So anyway, but he's gonna keep checking in on the little kid, right? Mm-hmm. He's gonna be keep checking, so he'll still be in there to a point. Stormfront apparently is gonna get Vadered. So as she left with her limbs, right, all chopped off. So she's gonna come back with mechanical stuff apparently. And then we've got the new guy, Patriot or whatever they're gonna call him, coming in. Now he's an old school guy, but he's the same as Homelander. He's a dick, right? He wants all this adulation and stuff. But he's old school. So think of like if Captain America was like Homelander, is kind of what it's gonna be like with him in there. And Homelander, of course, well, not of course, but you know, he's headed to be the major villain, right? Like,
well, the funny thing about it though is like even as the Patriot comes in, like you had him against Stormfront, right? And that was like sort of like him against her, and now it's going to be him against Patriot. But don't you find that like we've been through this thing with Homelander? What an asshole! What but he's kind of come back around. I was thinking at the end of that, are they going to somehow write this in a way that it's going to make everyone love Homelander?
Oh yeah.
Are they going to take it to that spot, even though he's a little, big baby, but you can see like if the Patriot comes in and no, I'm the boss now.
Heads. Yeah. They're going to butt heads.
So then I guess it's going to be dependent on how they write that guy, because right now with Homelander, he's sort of like, I mean, other than all the people he's murdered and killed and done the whole thing, he's sort of had a chance to reset because the girls kind of let him off the hook and said, you leave us alone and we'll leave you alone. Yeah. And so where does he go with it? And if the Patriot's coming in and he's going to be like, well, I'm the original Homelander. Like, sure, they're going to battle, but to me, it's like, are they going to write this in a way where Homelander actually becomes like the guy you're rooting for? Right. It's the kind of,
well, it depends if they follow the comic book or not, I guess. Right. I don't know how it's going to go either. I just see Homelander he had no love growing up, right? And he just wants adulation, but he doesn't want the structure to fall apart because he's at the top of the structure. If the structure falls apart and like Maeve said, and everybody's gone, who's going to love him? Nobody's going to love him.
What's your fear with this series? Because I'm asking that question to you from a comic arc standpoint as well, because are they going to amp up the drama for the sake of amping up the drama, or is there enough in the stories to just write it within that story that it will keep the person engaged?
I think they could follow. I think they follow it pretty close to what they do. I don't know, man. See, I see the decisions they've made have been really great, so I think it's going to get better. I can't see like season 2 is better than season 1. It just depends what you're looking for, I guess, and where they take which avenue they take everything. See that head popper at the end. They're like, what are they going to do with that whole Scientology place?
Because I had originally heard that, and this is the great thing, like as far as reading, and I said I'm only so far in the book, so I'm not all the way to the end. But I had originally had looked at the theory that the Church of the Collective were the ones popping the heads.
Right. Yeah.
So I was prepped for that. I was prepped for that. And then to go this way, now I'm like, well, actually the ultra villain could be her now, because she really holds the Trumpy power now, doesn't she? Because she's going after the whole thing. So there's a chance for there to be like 5 or 6 different villains coming out of this thing. Because Stormfront's not done, and Homelander's we don't know, and we don't know what the Patriot's going to be like in the end. And I'm kind of like, I don't know where I stand on the other parts. The cast, like Maeve, like where's she going? Obviously, she's got her own thing, and Starlight's cool, but I feel like she could be turned into something. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I really I liked Starlight in that last fight, man. She was.
I know.
So cool, so cool. Like it's, as I say, to see these girls go above, like what the Black Widow and all, and all them do.
They just whoop some ass. So it was such
cheering them on.
I know it was and then Stormfront gets up and she's like, "Fuck y'all, I got this shit." And then I guess she breaks her neck, and so her power is to be able to bring herself back to life. Kimiko. So there's there's all these different things. So angle upon angle upon angle of where it can go, and I'm sure as we post this, the ultra boys' heads are going to be like, you guys missed this point and you missed this, and it's going to go here. And that's the beauty about discussing it.
Well, where it goes, it could go. Like,
it could go anywhere, right?
It depends on what they have going on. But as far as our analysis is what's happened, Oh, here's one. Okay, speaking of fanboys, I saw this on a video channel, but I can't remember where it was, or I'd credit the guy. Okay, Stormfront gets busted. They show the Nazi stuff on there.
Yeah.
Right? And the little ticker underneath, they also say that she killed Epstein.
So there you go.
Wow. Whoa. Did you guys
I didn't catch it.
No. The fanboys catch that? I didn't at first, obviously, either, but one of my channels, I don't know. I'm not.
I have to go back and like, I mean, there's so many. I like going back and obviously looking after the season's done and try to stay off the net while the season's going, because I don't want to know necessarily where they're taking it.
Right. Right.
But from a straight standpoint of like asking somebody like yourself that's way further into it than I kind of go, well, I loved how they built it out. I love that Deep just keeps getting, I love one of my favorite scenes from the final episode is when when they're sitting in the church, right? And he's like, the leader's going at A-Train. And then so Deep's like, fuck that guy. But then they're like, but we want A-Train in. So A-Train gets in and he splits and Deep's going, for fuck's sake. So he's like, and that's going to be, he's funny.
The comedy relief. And I love it because he started off as the douchebag, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's rough on Starlight there. And it's like, jerk. And then he gets it. It's like, you're thinking, I really love to see him pay for that, but he probably won't. It's like, whoa, yes, he did.
Yeah. And you know where it's going. Huey just is about to be manipulated like crazy and, with, starting fresh and doing the whole thing. And there's going to be a push on to like bury the soups. And I think that's going to cause a problem with him and Starlight because she's going to be like, well, we're back now. Everything's reset. We're ready to go. And your organization is trying to get rid of it. There's a whole thing going there.
Well, see, they could also with this third season is just set the pace for what's going to happen in season 4. You could have you slowly show all the boys are slowly going to have to come back together. And by the end of the season, they are back together.
Sure.
They do tons of flashbacks. Like, you really want to see where all the soups came from.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to go back. It's like a Captain America #1 movie, right? Where they go back to getting injected and discovering everything like that. And it could just build up to the point where, okay, something crazy is going to happen, but it just aims to the season finale of season 3, right? And then season 4, the boys are back together, blah, 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 yada, yada. We got a whole new person to fight. So it could just be a place setting, getting everything ready. You know what I mean?
It's it's literally written perfectly. I really don't have a complaint with any of it. There wasn't really and go Toronto. I mean, it's all Toronto, which is awesome. And there wasn't really anything that I was like, oh, come on, why are they doing that? I never did that once in the 2 seasons. I was surprised that they did some things. I was like, whoa, like, and there was some predictability there. Like when Homelander was telling Stormfront, like or when Stormfront's telling Ryan, you got to get angry or picture, get really, really angry. And then Homelander's telling him, that's how your laser eyes are going to work. You got to really hate something. And my mom taught me not to hate. That moment, I was like, this kid's burning something down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a little too much foreshadowing there, but I didn't complain about it. Like when, that scene, and what a great way to write off the butcher's, the wife, right? Like,
wow.
where it's like, you think he's going to save her, but he actually ends up killing, like big, what a great way to go.
Moment, man. Big, what the fuck?
Totally. And then to see the butcher show some emotion and just lose it. And like, you haven't seen that from him in 2 seasons. Right. So it just sets up all these different arcs. And I thought it was awesome. So no complaints from me. Season 2 in the books. Can't wait to break down. We're going to wait a long time for season 3.
Well, what's coming up? Coming up?
There's a prequel, isn't there?
No, there's something different coming up that we both enjoy.
Well, The Mandalorian's on the way.
Hey, there we go.
But actually, sorry, before we get to The Mandalorian, hold on. So they are doing a spin-off of The Boys, which is a university school for the soups. So they've got some spin-off that they're building about how they're, the ones that have been injected, I guess, go to school and go to university. So I've heard rumblings that there is a spin-off coming. But yes, The Mandalorian, October 30th.
Nice.
So I can't wait to get into that. I had to rewatch season 1 again just because there was so much. And then the trailer also looks great. So for sure, we're going to circle back. I think what we need to do, obviously, we're going to start going live on all platforms with these things pretty soon. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Instagram. So we're going to maximize that. We'll get some of our other comic buddies into the mix here. Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously the Mandalorian episode 1 is done. I think we got to jump on and do a live feed and do the whole thing and start doing more of these, because there's lots to talk about in that world.
There is, and new Batman's coming too. And I got to tell you, your buddy Dean there was right about the star. I think he's going to do a good job.
I dig it. I dug the where it was going, and there was one thing about the complaint that people have about relaunching and rebooting these series and stuff. I've never really had an issue with any Batman. Mm-hmm. They were what they were for that moment. I mean, it's all about the writing, really. Honestly, people are going to still complain about Affleck, but I don't know. I think it was just the way that
it wasn't a bad Batman.
No, I thought the way that series was going, like when they said Affleck's going to be Batman, I'm like, well, make him Batman forever then, because he looks exactly like Batman. So
right. I have no complaints about his Bruce Wayne, about his Batman. I just thought the whole story, of course, of course, I was going to call them the Super Friends, the Justice League story. Yeah. It was just the Avengers story, but not as good. It was like, break that down, man. That's the same story, but not as good.
No, and they just took the wrong way to get there. And it really sucks, because I really thought Superman Returns was great. I didn't have a problem with that. And I thought they set up I really like him as Superman, and even Batman versus Superman was confusing to people, because I think people were like, is it good guy against good guy? They should have just been, it should have been part maybe of the beginning of the Justice League to me, where it was like, okay, we start the Justice League off with that scene of Superman fighting Zod, and then then Affleck's like all pissed off, and then we bring the tree and then it kind of goes that way. So I just didn't like the way that they got there so fast, and it was like, so it just drove me crazy. But anyways, that's a whole other episode.
It is. Well, there's better ways to have Superman come after Batman, right? Like I don't know if you remember when the Joker killed Robin, and Batman was going to go kill the Joker, and Superman stepped in, right? So there's a great reason why they should fight right there, man. Holy cow. No Martha involved there.
No, lots to talk about in future episodes. So we'll keep doing this. We'll call it the cut. In the cut, cutting with cutting with Machete. Fuck, I don't know. There's a billion. We'll come up with a name for this. It'll be on a thing.
Cutting into cool stuff.
Cutting into cool stuff. Because you got.
I think it's cool stuff.
You paint. Yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of cool shit. Get lots of cool guests on, lots of things. But episode 1 in the can, The Boys season 2 review, The Boys season 1-2 review. I mean, we talked about the whole thing. And then I guess we'll jump back on for The Mandalorian and see where that goes. But
sounds good to me. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Woo!
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we'll talk soon.